Hi and welcome to the MAEK Perspective channel. Today, we're going to explore a simple idea with profound consequences: the human being as a system. Human beings can be understood as systems, not metaphorically, but in a structural, literal sense. We are assemblies of interconnected elements that receive signals, transform them, and produce responses. A system is defined by this movement between inputs, processes, outputs, and feedback. And that is exactly how we function. All day long, we receive a stream of inputs, sensations, nutrients, emotions, social cues, cultural information. Inside us, an incredibly coherent architecture processes those signals. Metabolism, hormones, neural networks, and behaviors work together to interpret what arrives. And then we respond. A gesture, a sentence, a choice, sometimes a silence, sometimes an emotion that changes our direction for the rest of the day. Whatever we do, the environment responds in return. Every action we take modifies the world around us, and the world answers back with new signals. That loop never stops. It is the signature of a self-regulating system. Seen through this lens, the human being is a cybernetic organism, equipped with sensory receptors, an internal processor, effectors that execute actions, and regulatory mechanisms that maintain balance. To understand this whole dynamic, it helps to imagine the human system as layered. At the foundation, there is biology. Above it, neurons and networks. And above that, our social world, the behaviors, cultures, and technologies we move through every day. The biological layer is the base. It is made of cells, biochemical reactions, and flows of energy. These components work together to maintain homeostasis, the delicate stability that keeps our internal environment constant despite the chaos around us. This stability is not a poetic metaphor. It is a continuous, energetic effort against entropy. Temperature, pH, oxygen levels, blood glucose, blood pressure, every one of these variables is monitored and adjusted in real time. In that sense, the human body behaves like a thermodynamic engine, absorbing energy, transforming it, distributing it, and defending itself against anything that could disturb its equilibrium. Above this foundation lies the neural layer. Neurons are special cells whose purpose is to process information. Each one receives signals, integrates them, and transmits its own signal when certain conditions are met. A single neuron is remarkably simple, but when millions of them interact together, something new happens, something no individual neuron could accomplish alone. The brain has no single command center, no chief neuron. Instead, it is a distributed network, a constellation of specialized modules working together, constantly adjusting to new data and new demands. From this collaboration arise attention, memory, emotion, language, planning, imagination. A stream of electrical impulses becomes perception. Perception becomes an idea becomes an action, and that action alters the environment, which feeds back into the system once again. But the human system doesn't end at the skin. We also exist inside a larger social and cultural layer. We live surrounded by languages, norms, relationships, beliefs, institutions, tools, and technologies. These external systems shape how we think, what we value, what we expect from life, how we evaluate truth, and how we interpret the world. The influence flows both ways. Individuals shape society, society shapes individuals, culture alters the way we learn, technology alters the way we think, economic structures alter what we strive for, digital environments alter our attention, sometimes without us noticing. These influences reach deep into the biological and neural layers. Education reshapes synaptic pathways, stress changes hormonal patterns, social isolation affects immune responses, technologies reconfigure habits, expectations, and cognitive rhythms. To understand how all of this works together, it helps to remember three principles that apply to every complex system. The first principle is emergence. Some properties simply do not exist in the separate parts. They only appear when the parts interact. A neuron does not have consciousness. A million interconnected neurons can create the conditions for conscious experience. The second principle is irreducible complexity. No single layer, biological, neural, or social, can fully explain human behavior on its own. Biology influences the brain influences culture, culture influences biology. Everything moves in multiple directions at once. And the third principle is the paradox of robustness and fragility. The human system is remarkably robust, with built-in redundancies: 2 kidneys, 2 lungs, a brain capable of reorganizing itself after injury. But it is also fragile. A moment of hypoxia, a severe infection, an overwhelming emotion, or a cognitive bias can destabilize the entire structure. To understand this system more deeply, it helps to start at the smallest viable unit, the cell. A cell maintains itself, regulates itself, and reproduces itself. It has a membrane, a cytoplasm, organelles, and sometimes a nucleus containing DNA. But beyond its physical structure, a cell processes information. It receives chemical or physical signals, compares them to its internal state, activates or inhibits genetic pathways, adjusts its metabolism, and triggers specific responses: division, repair, secretion, or programmed death. A cell does not think, but it computes. It follows rules of activation, inhibition, and feedback. It is a biological algorithm running inside every living organism. From this cellular foundation emerges the next layer, the brain. The brain integrates and coordinates the body's many systems: hormonal, immune, sensory, motor. It unifies billions of signals, prioritizes them, and produces coherent actions. It is a metasystem, a system that supervises other systems. Inside this metasystem, neurons generate memory, emotion, and language. Memory forms when synaptic connections change in lasting ways. Connections that fire often become stronger. Connections that remain silent weaken. The shape of these networks becomes the shape of our memories. Emotion emerges through the collaboration of several regions: the amygdala, which assigns emotional significance, the hypothalamus, which triggers bodily responses, and the prefrontal cortex, which modulates and contextualizes everything. Emotion is not a single signal, it is a dialogue. Language, too, is a distributed process. Auditory regions analyze sound. Semantic networks manipulate meaning. Syntactic circuits plan structure. Motor regions orchestrate speech. Language is never produced by a single center. It is the synchrony of many specialized systems, but humans never operate purely from within. We exist inside larger ecosystems: societies, cultures, technologies, economies. These systems shape our minds just as surely as our genes do. Biology enables certain inventions. Those inventions, in turn, reshape how we think and how we live. It is a loop, a coevolution. This is why a systemic view has become essential today. Modern life blends biological, cognitive, social, and technological layers so tightly that no single perspective is enough. Phenomena like cognitive overload, misinformation, attention fragmentation, and the transformation of work cannot be understood from just one angle. They come from interactions between many layers at once. And this brings us to another symmetry: the symmetry between humans, artificial intelligence, and robotics. Modern AI systems function much like biological systems. They receive data, transform it, learn from feedback, and generate responses. Neural networks use simple units, weighted connections, and gradual adjustments, the same principles the brain uses in its own way. Robots rely on the same cybernetic structure as living organisms: sensors, processors, effectors, and loops of feedback. This parallel explains why AI evolves so quickly. It harnesses the same systemic laws that biology has relied on for millions of years. And once again, a loop emerges. Human behavior shapes AI through data and use. AI reshapes human cognition and social structures through its presence in our daily lives. We evolve together. To navigate this future, a systemic perspective isn't optional, it's necessary. AI is no longer a simple tool. It has become part of the cognitive, social, and economic environments in which we live. Understanding its impact requires looking at multiple layers at once: the vulnerabilities created by technological dependence, the loss of cognitive autonomy, the asymmetry between those who understand these systems and those who don't, and the potential for manipulation and misinformation. At the same time, it requires recognizing the stabilizing forces that protect human systems: education, culture, cooperation, and the boundaries we deliberately choose to establish. Thinking systemically doesn't make reality more complicated. It simply reveals the interconnected world as it already is: dynamic, layered, and constantly in motion. Thanks for listening. See you in the next episode.